heart, a very, very heartfelt welcome to you. Please know your presence is truly a blessing. And we can't start until we ring this bell. Which means you're glued to your seats for right now. Unless you have a great need to go to what is called the sanctuary of release. And that is just straight ahead, all the way straight ahead. Okay, so other than that, we'll have our brother, dear brother Steve Kramer play the flute music. Let's see.
And now we have the time for calling in our ancestors. We would like to welcome those ancestors who wish to join us in our communal service today, especially those who are near and dear to our hearts, those of this place, and those of this land. Dearest ancestors, we approach you with respect and reverence. We are grateful for any guidance, knowledge, and teachings you share in the name of loving support as we navigate through these challenging times we find ourselves in. Help us make choices which benefit the next 7 generations who are yet to come. We ask that you bless us with the ability to connect with the spirit of this land, the animals, the plants, and all of creation. We ask for your blessing as we walk the path of healing and growth. Amen. And now I would like to share a land acknowledgement. We wish to acknowledge the land we occupy is the stolen, traditional, ancestral, unceded territory of the Coast Salish peoples, in particular the Muckleshoot, the Suquamish, and the Duwamish tribes. And the Duwamish tribes inhabited this very area where this sanctuary is built. We are grateful to them as the rightful past, present, and future caretakers of this beautiful land, which we do not own, but which we call home. We acknowledge the burdens they carry due to ongoing colonialism. We are grateful for this land itself, the home of cedar, salmon, deer, and occasional sunshine. We honor all those beings who were here long before us and our kin. We apologize to them all for any injustice enacted upon them. We must also recognize those Black, brown, Asian, and indigenous peoples who helped build this country, but were often enslaved, exploited, or unpaid, and continue to face racism and discrimination. They require liberation and reparation in the name of healing, equity, and justice. We pray, one day may we see ourselves as one and treat all beings as our sisters and brothers. Amen.
Good morning, brothers and sisters. My name is Chris. I'm here to offer a prayer for the Divine Feminine. But as I was preparing for this last night, as we all experienced, I heard some of you relating stories of your own experiences. My mother came to my mind because when I was growing up in New Jersey, she was deathly afraid of thunder and lightning. And she would have us we had big windows in our family room and in other parts of the house, and she would have us gather in the hallway so that we wouldn't be exposed to any effects from the lightning, which, God bless us, we never did. So any time I hear the rare lightning and thunder that happens here in Seattle, I think of my mom, and it was just very timely for what I was preparing to do today. And I had prepared something today because on the 15th of August, just a few days ago, was the Assumption of the Virgin Mary into heaven. She was only one of two people who were assumed bodily into heaven, the first being Jesus Christ, peace be upon him, and peace be upon his mother Mary also. Throughout many ages of history, the goddess has been worshipped, and throughout ancient times, many artifacts have been found that lead us to believe that these were revered figures. And a couple of decades ago, Karen Lindquist and some other folks here decided that honoring the goddess at the beginning of every service was worthy work, and we wanted to continue that tradition. And then again, when I realized that one of her biggest holidays in the Catholic Church was the Assumption, I wanted to say a prayer for her to be honored. So I picked through the excellent intercession of my other brother in spirit, Rich Hader. Originally, I was going to choose to say the oldest goddess prayer I ever heard, which was Hail Mary. But then I realized that Hail Mary really is focused on her role as the mother of Jesus Christ, which is, certainly a great honor, and I don't deny any of that. But I think that her role in the greater reality we have here, this image is her of the Virgin of Guadalupe, and I'm wearing blue and white because traditionally in the Catholic Church she wears blue and white also. Originally I had planned to say less, but then the lightning happened. I'm sorry to take up too much of the time, but again, thank you for your kind attention. But I'd like to pray for you something called the Memorare, which originally was in Latin. But Memorare means remember, which is really the first word of the prayer, which is the way a lot of those prayers were titled. Please remember, O gracious Virgin Mary, that never was it known that anyone who fled to your protection, implored your help, or sought your intercession was left unaided. Inspired by this confidence, I fly unto you, O Virgin of Virgins, my mother. To you I come, before you I stand, sinful and sorrowful. O Mother of the Word incarnate, despise not my petitions, but in your mercy, hear and answer me. Amen. Blessed be.
And now I'd like to invite Brother Jamal back up here to share about the beauty and majesty of compassion.
My dear friends, once again, a very heartfelt welcome to you. Please know, as I always say, your presence is truly a blessing. Let's do, being a chant junkie, at least one chant. Praising divinity, and knowing that when we praise divinity, God doesn't become holy, we become holy. Allahu Allah, Allahu Allah. Allahu Allah, Allahu Allah, Allahu Allah, Allahu Allah. Just the beloved women, please. just the beloved men. Allahu Allah, Allahu Allah, Allahu Allah, Allahu Allah. Family all together. Allahu Allah, Allahu Allah. Once quietly. Allahu Allah, Allahu Allah. Twice aloud. Allahu Allah, Allahu Allah, Allahu Allah, Allahu Allah. And just becoming very still for a few moments, allowing the vibrations, as the great sages say, to perfume our hearts. Thank you. So, my dear friends, the topic today is compassion. And this is a very integral part of all traditions, or also people who have no tradition. Mercy, gentleness. You know, the Prophet Muhammad was asked, peace be upon him, what is the core teaching of Islam? There are many core spiritual teachings. And the Prophet Muhammad said, the entire core teachings is in the Quran. The entire core teachings of the Quran is in the first chapter called Surah Fatiha. And the entire teachings of the Surah Fatiha is in the Basmallah. Bismillahir-Rahmanir-Rahim, which opens virtually each of the 114 chapters of the Quran. In the name of God, boundlessly compassionate, infinitely merciful. And some of you have heard this many times. A Bedouin asked the Prophet Muhammad, tell us more about the power, the majesty of this Basmallah. What is the secret to this? And the Prophet replied, this is the secret to life. If you want to be happy, content, fulfilled, be compassionate with yourself and be compassionate with others. And some of you have heard this many, many times, so I won't dwell on it. But to remind you again, it is critical we learn the techniques of how to practice gentleness, mercy, compassion for myself. Many techniques, but again, let me repeat to you, I love talking to myself. So I add a term of endearment. I say brother. So I and Brother Jamal have constant conversations. And that really helps. And always in the tone of compassion. But Brother Jamal, don't be angry. Don't be angry. It's okay. It's okay. We'll take care of this later on. But Brother Jamal, that has saved me from a lot of difficult situations. The other one, which is very critical, is can I learn some techniques to be gentle, merciful with my difficult feelings? It's a world of opposites. High is defined by low, long by short. There'll be joys, there will be sorrows. That's inevitable. This is the core of Buddhism. So, would I have difficult feelings? Know that it is coming up in me to make me a more developed, complete human being. Be gentle with it. So we do the program of what is called sacred holding. Hold those feelings with mercy for yourself, with compassion for yourself. Don't run towards difficult feelings, just don't run away from them. Compassion for others, which means be compassionately aware. You're angry at somebody because of their behavior, but their being is sacred, is Christ nature, Buddha nature, Elohim nature, Allah nature. Take the right action. Don't allow yourself to be abused. Protect yourself. Take the right action. But as you take the right action, keep this differentiation in your mind and heart between behavior and being. And this has the power to shift heaven and earth. You know, I've been teaching classes since 1992, continuously. As I always jokingly say, since my hair was black. Long time. But what I wanted to say was, in every single class, I mentioned this. So I know some of you have heard this again and again and again. So if somebody says, but how do you explain the majesty, the beauty of this vibration of mercy, gentleness, compassion. So somebody tell me, what is a metaphor used in all traditions to explain the mercy of compassion? Water. Say it loudly.
Water.
Water. Something we're familiar with the Northwest. There is nothing as soft and yielding as water is, yet for overcoming the hardest, the most insurmountable, nothing is as powerful as water is. The person who is gentle, merciful, compassionate is possessed of raw, authentic strength. That's not all. There's more. Wherever water falls, life flourishes. Wherever water falls, life flourishes. Meaning, the person who is gentle, compassionate, merciful, is also life-bestowing, life-affirming. So just be with that. Do I practice this core divine attribute, compassion for myself and compassion for others? Okay. Next question. Is God compassionate? Well, again, a subject we have touched upon again and again and again. So the same story I shall repeat. This pious person who travels the world, sees so many injustices, sees this dead orphan child died of lack of food, hunger, breaks down and says, oh God, God, you're God. Do something, do something, do something, God. And you know the answer. God comes in a vision that night and says, beloved one, I did do something. I created you. So just be with that. Jamal, what are you doing? Besides complaining, besides that, what do you do? Yourself, in your own family, in your extended family, in your community. Start right there where you are. The other one which we have tackled again and again in almost all the classes I've shared. Why do terrible things happen to innocent people? Some people suffer so much. Loving people, innocent people, good people, decent people. I've been asked that question so many times. And my only answer is silence. Be quiet, Jamal. Don't say too much. But I love this legend in the Islamic spiritual tradition from the African legend that before God sent all of humanity to earth, God took all of the unborn humanity, where? To a magical cosmic tree. And God said, before you descend to earth, look at this tree. There are packages on the tree, on the limbs of trees. Packages of different sizes, some very small, some medium, some large. And God said, this is a world of opposites. You go down to earth, there'll be joy, there'll be happiness, contentment, but there'll also be sorrow, pain, anguish. These are packages of anguish. Take any one of the packages. Well, the story goes that the nobler ones among us chose to take the larger packages so others would suffer less. They chose to take the larger packages so I might suffer less. So when I see somebody suffering, whether it's cancer or change of circumstances, happens again and again and again, I make sure I ask no questions. None of this karma business, this because of karma something happened or this or that. I am just so eager, as much as I can, to be of service with gratitude. With gratitude. Just be with that for a few moments. Another question mystics have asked through the centuries, oh God, why do you remain veiled, hidden from us? You know, in the Quran there's a verse that says, God encompasses all vision, but no vision encompasses God. Rumi, who used to ponder on these Quranic insights and go into a trance. And his particular trance, and he didn't write, he would just break out in speech. The lover visible, the beloved invisible. Whose crazy idea was this? In the Quran, Moses, peace be upon him. By the way, Moses is the most mentioned prophet in the Quran. Says, God, Moses says, I want to see your face. I want to see your face, God. I really want to see your face. And God, out of compassion, says, Moses, look at the mountain. Look at the mountain. And as he turns his head to look at the mountain, the entire mountain dissolves and crumbles with one glance of divinity. And the message is, it's out of mercy, it's out of compassion. Allah is veiled from us because the light of God is so incredibly effulgent, strong. We're not capable of withstanding that light unless we evolve deeper and deeper into the fullness of our being. So the mystics say it is out of mercy, it is out of compassion that Allah is veiled from us. By the way, you don't have to believe that, but just ponder on that. You know, I had a workshop yesterday. We talked about this. Why doesn't God answer our prayers? At least my most urgent prayer. Well, actually, God does. The Quran says, be conscious of God, pray to God, and Allah will provide for you in ways you cannot even imagine. When Rumi read this, he said, yes, yes, yes. In times of affliction, a stretcher comes from grace. In times of affliction, a stretcher comes from grace. The Quran goes on to say, Allah does not answer some of your prayers because unknown to you, they are actually harmful for you. Particularly in the area of relationship. If only I got together with this person, maybe it's not the best for you. Third one, why does God not answer? We don't know, but Sufi saints say, mystics say, you know, when you die and go over to the other side, Allah will say, you know, these are some of the prayers you had asked for that were not answered. But now, on this other side, here are your rewards for those prayers that were not answered. And the rewards are so super magnanimous, beautiful, overwhelming in their beauty that the person will say, oh my, I wish none of my prayers were answered. Okay, another very difficult question. Is the universe compassionate? Think about it. You know, as some mystics have pointed out, some animals eat other animals. We eat animals. By the way, it reminds me of that wonderful song I like by the Beatles, or some verse they said, I don't see it in a song, but they wrote that, one of the Beatles. If the walls of slaughterhouses were made out of glass, if the walls of slaughterhouses were made out of glass, all of us would be vegetarians. I consume meat, avoiding how the meat gets to me. I forced myself once in the village, I talk about it quite often, to watch how cows are slaughtered. And I was aghast how they're dragged, their eyes bulge like this, so much of bloodletting. And because I saw that, I'm no longer a beef eater, or if I do, very sparsely. And if I go and see how chickens are slaughtered, I think I'll be vegetarian. Say it again.
If you had to do your own, you would be.
Yes, yes. So, here's a story of the mullah saying, God, let me see how I can be of service to you in this world which is so strange. So if you remember that wonderful story, the mullah is sitting underneath a large mulberry tree, and he's wondering, how can I be of service to God? He needs some help. And he looks up ahead of him, and he sees in front of him, far away, is on the ground are these tiny creepers, but they're huge watermelons. Tiny, flimsy creepers and large watermelons. And here's a mulberry tree with the tiniest of berries. So the mullah says, Allah, you're God and I am just a human being, but there's room for improvement for all of us. I'm looking up ahead, I see these tiny, flimsy creepers on the ground, huge watermelons, and this huge tree with tiny berries. Allah, don't mind me telling you this, but there's something not quite right in your design of feng shui, your planetary feng shui. And just at that moment, a tiny berry falls off the branches and lands on his head, which leads to a wider insight. Oh my God, what if the berry had been a watermelon? Let me think of something else. Okay, compassion. Compassion and awareness. There has to be awareness. The story which I repeat because it has been told to me, I was trying to count, but I gave it up, at least 8,000 times, this story. And what is the story? Of this compassionate monkey who goes to neighborhood ponds and plucks the fish out of water to save it from a watery grave. There is compassion, but lack of awareness. This question of compassion and non-violence. If somebody is attacking my family, of course, out of compassion, I have to defend my family. So therefore, the mystics have tackled this issue of the link between compassion and non-violence. So just be with that. What do I do in a situation where out of compassion I have to fight back? Protecting my family, my community. What do I do? It's a very difficult question. In Islamic literature, there's a story of Ali, who was the cousin of the Prophet Muhammad, and who was attacked, and he was fighting this very difficult warrior. And somehow Ali managed to have the sword fall off of the hand of that enemy. And the enemy came up to him and just spat in his face. Spat in his face. And what did Ali do? He put the sword back in his sheath. And the enemy said, "Why did you do that? You could have killed me." He said, "Because if I killed you, it would be out of my ego being bruised. You spat on me. I would not have done it out of justice or compassionate right action." Just be with that story. Or the story in the Hindu scriptures, very famous story of God Krishna and Arjuna, the prince. And he's there with his entire army looking across the river, and across the river are 100,000 enemies. And Krishna and Arjuna, Krishna is the divinity, Arjuna is the prince, having a conversation. And suddenly Arjuna says, "Oh Krishna, Krishna, Lord Krishna, I don't want to fight. I don't want to fight. They are my cousins. I'll be shedding blood. I don't want to fight." And what does that divinity Krishna says? "Krishna, you don't realize I'm divinity. I can see through you. Your compassion right now is a cover-up for your cowardice. Fight on for the sake of compassionate, merciful justice. And the famous words, remember this, the eternal in man can never kill, the eternal in man can never die. It's a difficult issue. The eternal in the human being can never kill, the eternal in the human being can never die. What do you do when you're compassionate, loving, merciful, gentle, but you're being attacked physically, for example? Well, here's another Sufi story. There's a snake in a village that really is quite violent. It bites people, people are dying. They call the Sufi, please, you understand the language of animals. Speak to this snake. And the Sufi goes to the snake and persuades the snake to be non-violent, to be compassionate, not to bite anybody. Be compassionate, be merciful. But then what happens? Because the snake is non-violent, compassionate, merciful, will not bite anybody, the children throw stones at the snake. The men go and kick the snakes against the wall. After a certain time, the Sufi comes back and sees the snake in this ragged, hurt condition, says, what happened to you, snake? And the snake says, oh, Sufi, what did you teach me? This terrible lesson of non-violence, to be compassionate. Children throw stones, I'm hurled against the wall. And the Sufi says, oh, snake, I asked you not to bite. Did I ever forbid you? Did I ever ask you not to do your hissing? Okay, on the area of awareness, compassion and awareness, to really have compassion for everybody, for you to have compassion for me to have compassion for you. If you're a mean person, you're overly angry, for me to realize out of a higher awareness, maybe there's a wound in you. There's a story within you that needs to be told. You know, I have learned also to be very gentle and compassionate with happy people. Quite often I think of two people from our community here who took their lives. I won't say committed that, because by the way, there was one couple that used to come here and say, Jamal, you talking about committing suicide, please never mention that word. Their daughter had taken her life. She said the word committed is a she didn't say, but to me, she said it's it's not a compassionate word. People commit crimes. So I would say, these two people so astonished me. One had won national award. She went to the White House to receive the award. The other person was so cheerful. But they took their lives. And I think about them very often because also I love this song, a Bollywood song, but it's poetry. It's very deep poetry. Tum itna jo muskura rahe ho, kya gham hai jo tum chupa rahe ho. All those beautiful smiles that you're putting on your face, all those beautiful smiles that you're putting on your face. But what is the pain that you're concealing, that you're hiding? So I've learned the spiritual insight, Jamal, be compassionate as best as you humanly can with everybody. Difficult people, mean people, angry people, happy people. Okay, quickly moving on, but just one or two more points. Jamal, if you're compassionate, the holy books say, be generous. I love stories. Here's a story of God coming down in the guise of a beggar and asked two people for some money. Please help me, I'm poor. And out of compassion, one gives one copper coin, the other one gives 5 copper coins. And what does this beggar do, who is actually God? Transmutes them into gold and returns them to those two people. So Jamal, out of compassion, be generous. So I ask you, just think about it. In your compassionate nature, how can you be more generous? Okay, 2 more points. out of compassion, Jamal, be flexible. And I will repeat the one I've repeated probably 10,000 times, or maybe more. Blessed are the flexible, for they will never be bent out of shape. You know that. So I love this story in the traditions of this very beautiful, pious woman. So loving, so caring, being of service, that God, out of compassion, created for her 2 stars in the cosmos. And one day, her niece comes to her, a little girl, in the month of Ramadan. She says, Auntie, take me on a hike. So she packs some food for the child, goes on the hike, and midway the little girl stops and says, let's stop here, I'm thirsty and I'm hungry. So she lays out the cloth and has the drink and the water. And she says, Auntie, please take some water, take some food, take it with me. No, I cannot do it because it's Ramadan. I'm supposed to fast. I'm fasting. No, please do it. I can't, because I'm fasting. It's religious ritual. No, I will not drink water. I will not eat anything unless you also drink. You also join me in eating. So with great trepidation, she says, oh my God, what will God think? She drank water. She ate the food, thinking, oh my God, I broke my fast. And that night, God came to her in a vision and said, for you, I'm creating a 3rd star. You are flexible. Okay, last point. This is in every tradition. Let me take it from the Taoist tradition. Compassionate towards yourself, you reconcile all beings in the world. Think about it. If I want to create compassion in the world, if I want peace in the Middle East or in any place in the world, in my family, the first step and the most important step is, can I be gentle and compassionate with myself? And just my presence, my vibration will create peace everywhere. Just be with that. Is that true? Does that ring true for you? Compassionate, this is from Tao Te Ching. Compassionate towards yourself, you reconcile all beings in the world. So 2 quick stories, very quick, real stories. 18th, 19th century Zen teacher, Master Ryokan. Very famous all over Japan. People are clamoring, oh, Master Ryokan, come and visit our place. And his brother says to Ryokan, my dear brother, my nephew is so rebellious, does this, does that, he's on drugs, listens to nobody. Why don't you do something for him? Do some work in your own family. And Master Ryokan says, okay, I'll come for a week. And the brother is so excited. The master, Ryokan, is coming to my house. He comes, spends a week in the house, says nothing to the nephew. Just is there with the nephew. No word of admonition, no lecturing, no advice. And the brother is so disappointed. Now it's time for the master to leave. As is the custom, the young boy, he puts the clogs, the sandals on the uncle's feet. And as he's putting the sandals on the uncle's feet because he's departing, 1 week is over, he looks up because he feels something on his forehead. And he finds that tears of compassion are pouring from the master's face, and it drops on the forehead of the young child. And in that instant, the young child is transformed. What is this about? Just your presence of compassion, that you're living it, being compassion. You don't have to calculate your compassion, your mercy, your gentleness. You just have to be it. And the master just being compassionate at the right time, the right thing happened. One last story, a true story of this very wonderful sage called Ramana Maharshi. Not Maharishi, Ramana Maharshi. People have heard of him? From India. This is early. All I know is, I was born in 1950. He died in 1950. Very beautiful sage. I mean, if you look at his picture, his face, his body is filled with mercy, gentleness, compassion. So the true story is this young lady, she lost her husband. I think she had 2 children, they also died. And she was heartbroken, just heartbroken. And he used to live in the mountains, Arun Achala. I remember this young lady's name, Ek Ammal. She went all the way up to the mountain into the ashram, and she went in the presence of the master, Ramana Maharshi, and she told her story and talked and talked. And the master, Ramana Maharshi, said not one word, but he just gazed into her eyes for 1 hour. But that gaze was filled with such powerful, celestial vibrations of mercy, gentleness, compassion, that her entire being was transformed. She said, all my grief left me. And the writing is, he was the sun, S-U-N, the sun that dispersed the clouds. He was the sun that dispersed the clouds just through his gaze, filled with mercy, filled with compassion, because the person was the embodiment of gentleness, compassion, mercy, living it. Just that person's presence created reconciliation, created peace. Okay, now I'm telling myself, Brother Jamal, be compassionate for the others you are speaking to. Keep it short. So I will stop here with that wonderful saying of the Prophet Muhammad, who said, if compassion was a thing of the created material world, if compassion was a thing of the created material world, there's nothing in the world that could be more beautiful than this. Just be with this till I look at my paper and see what's next for us. It'll be very short. Okay. Meditation. Okay, my friends, you're obligated to close your eyes. Or pretend you're closing your eyes. So I'll keep it a very short one, hopefully. Focus on the nostril and just be present with the breath. Connecting with the breath. The sages say, Spirit, divinity, Jesus, whatever belief system, is the breath within the breath. And the breath taking you deeper and deeper into a state of calmness. And now, letting go of this. And this time, please focus on the lowest part of your spine, the sacrum area, and make an intention to send a beautiful cord of divine light from the sacrum area going down, way down, deep, deep, deep into Mother Earth, connecting us to the womb of Mother Earth. Feel that connectedness to the womb of Mother Earth. Feeling rooted, grounded, centered. A sense of belonging. Letting go of that. And now focusing on the crown of the head and making an intention to send a beautiful cord of divine light, any color, going upwards, way up, higher, higher, even higher, piercing those mysterious realms, and connecting us to the heart of heaven. Feel that connection to divinity, mystery. Letting go of that. And now focusing on the physical heart and those wonderful insights that spirit divinity is outside of us and also inside of us, inside our heart. Spirit says, "Oh, beloved one, I cannot be contained in the space of the earth. I cannot be contained in the space of the heavens, but I can be contained in the space of the pure, loving heart." Just be with that. The heart is a wellspring of eternal love, compassion, beauty, majesty, healing, empowerment. It's all in the heart. Connecting to ultimate love. Because Spirit, God is ultimate love and compassion. Simply focus on the heart. And now, from this wellspring of eternal love and compassion, make an intention to pour out light and love. So focusing on the heart and simply pouring out, radiating, emanating light and love. Remember, the more I radiate, the more I become filled up with. It's a law, ancient and inexhaustible. Pouring out light and love in an outward, expansive direction. Pouring out light and love. And as mystics suggest, please do this in your meditation, as also in your waking hours, at any opportunity, focusing on the heart and pouring out light and love in an outward, expansive direction. A few more seconds, pouring it out. Okay, just letting go of everything. Let's chant Bismillah and come into awareness. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. La ilaha illallah. La ilaha illallah. Just be with that, Brother Steve. I think it's your turn now.
don't you tell them what we're doing? I'll pass it around. Okay, this is a time when we share our material wealth with each other in the community. And those online are welcome to go to our website, interfaithcommunitysanctuary.org, and donate online if they are able. We welcome all of our gifts that are received. They help us maintain this beautiful historic building built in 1890 and help us to promote all the programs that we do here and with other organizations. And we also deeply value all the volunteer time that comes in as well with all of the beautiful donations that come. We have donations of time and treasure both. And we are very grateful for all the gifts that people offer us all the time to help us have such a successful community here. Thank you. Jamal often asks me to recite a verse, and there was a verse coming to my head today as you were talking about the most compassionate God. I'll recite it it's rendered in English here by Camille Helminski. In the name of God, the infinitely compassionate, infinitely merciful, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Many surahs begin with a question. This one does. Have they never considered the birds over their heads, outspreading their wings and folding them in? None can uphold them except the most gracious. Truly it is your sustainer who watches over all things. And who is there who can stand by you like an army except the most merciful? Truly those who deny the truth are only deluding themselves. And who is there who could provide you with sustenance if your sustainer were to withhold his provision? Amen.
My friends, now is the time for mentioning something about our about upcoming events. And I'm so delighted as I looked up there, unexpectedly I see my two brothers here from the Nirankari mission. You might not remember, but these wonderful people from the Nirankari mission who are just rooted in service to others have collaborated with us for many years. But we've had a gap of number of years, pandemic, and then maybe 10 years we have not done together work. But theirs is an organization that we have cooperated, collaborated, and they have people who are steeped in simply being of service. And one of you come forward, two of you talk about the program you're having on. In fact, I had flyers for this. I was going to speak about it. You can please talk about this is September. We know exactly when it is.
Yes. Good morning, everybody. And sorry we are late. We first missed the exit. Then we lost the direction. So, we volunteer for Nirankari mission. It's an India-based organization with more than 5,000 centers all over the world in about 60 countries, 70 countries. And he's my favorite uncle, and I'm his self-proclaimed favorite nephew. I know, we keep all love in the family. We first got in touch with Interfaith in 2007. I was young, I had no grace, I was single, full of energy, I hope still I am. That's when I first came in touch with my uncle Jamal and Reverend Karen, Reverend Sally Jo, I see Lala there. So amazing people. And we have been partnering ever since on different events. We did one as recently as like 2 months ago with Interfaith. So this is the first time our spiritual teacher, she's coming to Seattle. And we are hosting a North American event We have received 1,500 registrations so far, and we are expecting the number to double in next 3 weeks. So I would request all of you to come. I have got, so in India, there's a tradition when there is I'm treating this as a wedding. It's bigger than a wedding in our house. So in India, whenever there is a wedding, you always give the invitation cards and sweets. So we got some cookies as well in the morning, because we need to keep that tradition. So September 8th, Sunday, we have event in Mecca Hall. Right after you are done from here on September 8th, I would humbly request if all of you can come there. Our event will run till 3. Obviously, Indian event, so food has to be there. In our culture, we first plan for food, then we plan event around it. So when the boy is young, we don't have the girl, but we know who the caterer will be in the wedding. So that's how we plan our events. So I have a bunch of cards because I know sometimes we forget. So I thought I'll personally we'll come and we'll give you the invitation cards, so you don't you have the details with you always. And we would love to see you all, and the partnership that we have built over the years. It'll be amazing for our leader, our teacher, to see what an amazing community you all are. So we are looking forward to seeing every one of you, and I've been sent specially today so I can scan everybody, and we'll see you that day. Yes, the food is free, the event is free. We'll have a lot of cultural songs. We'll have amazing speakers who are traveling from all over the world. He's going to speak, so he will be there. We have speakers coming from Europe, coming from India, coming from all over US and Canada. So there'll be a lot of enriching experience. So hopefully, and the topic is peace within. And the goal is, when we come out, we are full of love and full of inner peace. So we'll see you there at the event and at the lunch table. Yes, please, yes. So this has a QR code. I would request you to register. That will help us plan the logistics. Given the event is so big, so we'll keep some good buffer. But just in case, the more accurate number we have, more it will help us plan in terms of food and all the other logistics. So thank you so much. And it's always been a pleasure. Every time I come and I see you guys, I draw a lot of energy. So thank you.
On your behalf, I'll cut my favorite.
Yes. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for taking the trouble to come. Really appreciate that. So as his invitation will be passed on, I'd like to also, of course, encourage each one of you to come. And they can come anytime between 11 and 11 onwards, right?
Yes, 11 onwards. It will run till 3 o'clock. So about 2:15, 2:30, our main speaker will speak. Yes.
So I have to say, I'm so personally thrilled you have a female guru. And I've been following a lot of Indian gurus in my life, but I've never, I know there are many, but when is she going to be speaking? We might like to know that.
She will speak around, that's what I'm saying, so she's our final speaker.
Oh, okay.
So about 2:15-ish, and I'll personally take you all and introduce you to her. And yes, I will do that. And I'm pretty sure she will be equally thrilled, if not more, to see you like I always am.
Let's give them a wonderful hand. If you have time, please join us downstairs for food, if you have time. Yeah, in the meantime, I want to let you know about another program, a very important one, Dinner with Others. We had one with Unity of Linwood. Some of you, I noticed some of you were there. There were about 10 people from our community in Dinner with Others. So I wanted to tell you, yeah, Nirankari Mission is involved with that, absolutely, absolutely. They're an integral part of our collaborative partners now, as they always have been in the past. So this program The Interfaith Amigos, we encountered this in Houston. The mayor of Houston was just excited about this program called, it is originally called Amazing Faith. And the whole idea is to overcome polarization by connecting with the other on a human level. So you have people from, in a table, about 6 or 8 people, different political persuasion or different religions, and there's a stack of cards in the middle, personal questions, like, Jamal, was there a time in your life you forgave somebody? How did it feel? The beauty of this is that each person on the table will get a different question, not the same question. So I take a card, I look at it, I ponder on it, then I speak for about 2 or 3 minutes, maybe 3 minutes. Everybody else is listening. The other person picks a card, it's a different question. So everybody's forced to listen. Because we know that the biggest problem we have is, I'm not listening to you. So this program was very successful, and we, in collaboration with other houses of worship, we thought we'd take it all around Seattle, then across the country, this and that, then pandemic happened. So we're starting it in Interfaith Community Sanctuary downstairs, September 21st. We can only accommodate 50 people. So please join us. These are the handouts. And we need at least 6 to 8 table captains. What is their job? Just to be there and to facilitate. That please, no talking. Everybody takes a different card. So if you
And the facilitator, basically very simple, but will help with the timing of everything so that just kind of makes sure that it runs smoothly and they know the directions.
So if you want to be a table captain on September 21st, which is a Sunday, I take it, right? I forget. Anyhow, September 21st. It's a Saturday. It's a glorious day, September 21st. Let me know, or let Sally Jo know, or Steve Kramer know that you want to be a table captain. Okay, any other announcements, Sally Jo? We have meditation on Thursdays, silent meditation. You want to say something, George? About how beautiful it is? Yes.
I'll be happy to. As Jamal talked about, today is the idea of going within to find this compassion, to find whatever that is. And we all are looking in Interfaith Community Sanctuary to have a more contemplative society, a more contemplative parish. And so we have a very modest opportunity every Thursday evening to simply sit together in silence. And you could call it a meditation, you could call it a prayer. The idea is to keep it simply silence together, and you bring to it whatever you will. And then afterwards, in somewhat of an homage to our Quaker meeting, should anything well up from your heart during your 30 minutes of silence, then we share. If not, we say adieu and move on. But it's a lovely experience, and we welcome you all every Thursday at 7 p.m. Thank you.
Thank you, Brother George. And we have classes, other events and programs all listed on our website.
Also, next Sunday service will be offered by George Ramirez also for the Sunday morning service. And the first Sunday, after the first Sunday of every service, we have our guiding council meeting. And our first Sunday, guest Sunday, will be Ruth Ann Lonardelli, who will be our guest speaker for the first Sunday in September. And so, we meet every Sunday, 10 a.m. We all are welcome, and we always have a different and a good variety and a hopefully very interesting and inspiring program for you. And otherwise, I think the website is a good place to find all the weekly classes that meet, the monthly classes, morning, evening. We have a lot of going on here, and you can find something of interest to yourself, we believe, if you look on the website at our gatherings, our weekly gatherings and our special events, and I think you will find that we're a pretty active community. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Sally Jo. I think we'll say goodbye to our wonderful friends on cyberspace.